All right. Let a few people get rolling with us. We're back with the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. Let a few people come on. That's good, good, good. All right. Folks will find out that we are rocking and rolling here shortly. Let a few people get on with us, and then we'll get rolling. We'll get started. Yes, it's been a good week. All right. What's happening, Jimmy? Good to see you. All right. Yeah, getting started, man. It's getting dark early, man. I'm gonna need lights, more lights, I guess. Man. Well, welcome back to the Champions and Legends Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. On the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour, we talk to fitness professionals and trainers. We talk to pros and amateur athletes. We also have healthcare professionals. And we get together and we talk about ways of staying in the game. We'll talk about CBD. We talk about fitness regimens. And we also get into like best practices of preparation, performance, and recovery. Just finding ways to be the best version of ourselves right where we are, right? Champions and Legends. Champions and Legends is Champions and Legends produces a hemp-derived CBD-based sports supplement line that's for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery. And if you go to championsandlegends.com, you'll be able to see exactly what our products are all about, and you'll learn a ton about CBD. In fact, you'll get the truth about CBD. You can buy the products there, and man, you know, your eyes will be open to the world of CBD by going to championsandlegends.com. And when we launch Champions and Legends, we launch with some elite partners, athletic partners, and these guys are champions in their own right, and legends in their sport. So let me share with you the roster of guys that we have and gals that we have on our team. All right. So starting off, we have James Harrison, two-time Super Bowl champ, champion strongman and actor Thor the Mountain Bjornsson. We got CrossFitters, in fact, and we also have these guys, which are elite rock climbers, Adam Andra and Tommy Caldwell. There are CrossFitters, Pat Vellner and Sarah Sigmund's daughter. We got legendary NFL analyst and trainer, Jay Glazer. And our most recent addition to the team, a three-time world record-holding triathlete, James the Iron Cowboy Lawrence. Now, you know, all of these guys use our products and are continuing down their athletic journey one day at a time and staying in the game using Champions and Legends products. So without further ado, let's start with our first guest. This guy has made his mark in sport, not only in football, professional football, but he's a three-time Olympian. Let me find Jesse Lumsden and see if he can get him on real quick. Jesse, where you at? Okay. All right, Jesse, come on, man. These lights are hot. There he is.
Hey,
Yes.
buddy, what's going on?
How you doing?
Good, really good. You?
Good. Good to see you, man. You know.
Yeah, you too.
I thought I'd throw up your Abercrombie picture here.
You like that?
Yeah. You got it going on, man. You know, and we got the maple leaf with the Olympic rings, right?
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely.
We have a lot to chat about, man. I really appreciate. First of all, thank you very much for coming out and hanging out with me. I know that you got a lot going on. You're raising a family,
Yeah,
and it looks like you're staying in shape as well.
trying to.
You're trying,
Different type of shape. Different type of shape.
right,
Different
right.
type of shape. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just heard a podcast where a football player was saying, I've been out of the game for a while, but I still work out, but I don't train.
Right.
And there's a big difference between working out and training.
Yeah,
So I'm sure, we'll talk about that some more.
you
But
bet.
first off, man, I want to talk about your athletic journey. I know we're going to get to the Olympics, but what's up with the football, man? I mean, you were a pro football player. In fact, I did some research, and you were a Seahawk for a minute. I lived in Seattle,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, how did we go? Take me down the journey, right? From high school when you were like on the little league team or something, all the
Sure.
way to now we are Olympians, living the dream.
Yeah, 100%. Sport. I've been very blessed to have be a part of a very athletic family. My dad played professional football in the CFL as well.
Okay.
My uncle on my mom's side played in the NHL. My grandfather, my dad's dad, ran track at Marquette University. So blessed with some pretty special genetics. Is set up and having my dad as a pro football player and me choosing that path as well. Having a coach and in a way a mentor too, and somebody that I had to go to him. It was never he would come down on me, but I had to go to him if I was searching something out,
Right.
which allowed me to, find my own way as well. So very fortunate from that standpoint. I was 16 years old when I, really made the decision that I was gonna, this is gonna be my career path. I'm gonna do what I needed to do. My goal at that time was to I played running back. My goal was to play in the NCAA. Had interest, but never ended up getting that shot. Got a couple opportunities, asked to change over to be a safety or linebacker. And, Canadian universities wanted me to play the position that I played. So, went on, had a very special career in college, had a lot of fun. Our O-line was just studs, and we just ran all over everybody, which was all sorts of fun.
It made
And,
you good, right?
oh, absolutely. We were bullies. And, because of that, I had an opportunity to play in the East-West Shrine game in 2004. So
And
got sorry?
that was in LA, right? The Shrine
That,
game?
that, that one was San Francisco.
Mm,
But yeah, and got a chance to play with my quarterback was Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's still playing in the league, which is pretty cool.
right.
And guys like Brendan Jacobs was on the other side of the field, and it was a really talented team, and it gave me an opportunity to play against the guys that I dreamed of playing against at a college level,
Right.
and it gave me a couple looks too, so which afforded me the opportunity to go and have a workout and have a chance to play with Seattle, and then the year after that with the Redskins, or now the Washington Football Club.
Washington football. Yeah. To that professional space, that professional football space, you were around it as a kid, and
Yeah,
then to get into the league.
yeah,
Now, Champions and Legends is really about, the preparation, performance, and recovery of athletes with the products, the CBD products that we produce.
yeah,
But what did you do? I mean, because hey, football is a beat up sport, man. You get beat up,
yeah.
and you're a running back. So, what was your regimen for like being able to get back in the game each week uh,
Sure.
when you were running, running back for the pros?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, as you know, shit's changed a lot in 16 years.
Yeah,
And I was young and arrogant and not doing nearly as much as I did 3 years ago when I was still competing. So the evolution of, and the maturity of an athlete w- happened a lot with me. I mean, back then it was, the cold tubs and the ice tubs and rest, but it was also, partying and having fun and not necessarily taking, like, I was pretty focused on supplements and nutrition, but it wasn't to the detail and to the structure that it was in my last year competing at the Olympic Games, especially when I'm having a newborn child at home. So, um, that's the one thing that I wish, looking back in my career, that I had paid more attention to and had more access to, and the tools that I got exposed to later on, whether it was CBD use, which I am an advocate now, especially, But sensory deprivation, tank floating became a big part of my recovery, from 2013 on, essentially. Meditation and mindfulness, yoga became an important staple in some of my off-season daily routines. And really, so I learned a lot as I continued to grow, and as I continued through my 15 years of football and bobsleigh, definitely learned a lot.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, because that evolution happens for all of us.
Yeah,
Especially when staying in the game becomes more important and more difficult to do.
for sure.
So yeah, so when you were trying to elongate your career, now you're thinking, well, you know what, the partying has to stop, and I need to do a little more yoga. I need to get
Yeah,
my head in the game.
exactly.
I think once you get to a certain level of professional sports, it ceases to be as much about what's your body is doing, because everyone's sort of at the same level. Then it becomes a mental thing.
Sure, absolutely. I mean, you bring up a good point for, personally speaking, there was only a few more stones that needed to be unturned at the end of my career that hadn't been unturned.
Right.
For me, if I wanted to compete at that level still, I needed to find what was underneath those and to give myself the best chance I could. And that's where, leaning on other people and teammates and practitioners and looking at other things that really helped unlock some of those things. But,
Right.
Ego got in the way when I was younger, 100%, 100%. Because, you're young, dumb, and you're just full of energy and full of life, and the train's never going to stop.
Right.
And then it starts slowing down a little bit. And you're like, oh, shoot.
You gotta let the game do it for a while.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, okay, so now we're a professional athlete. What made this transition to being an Olympian? I mean,
Yeah.
here with the two-man bobsled, and then there's a singular one I got here.
Yeah.
And then I see the four guys. Was that a four-man deal that you were in as well?
Yeah, that's the four. So in bobsleigh, you have a team of four guys, and then you have a pilot and you have three crewmen, and the crewmen are responsible for the sled, taking care of the sled, prepping the sled, and also pushing the sled. And then one of the crewmen is also the two-man brakeman. So in my career, I was a two-man brakeman and a four-man crewman on a team.
Okay. So you're playing football.
Yeah.
You have a slight concussion. You wake up and you go, I want to be an Olympian. Is that how it happened?
Not really, no. But yeah, it might as well be that way because. So after the Seahawks and the Redskins, I came to the CFL and I started, focusing on just playing football again and not jumping around. And after a couple pretty good years, I started sustaining some pretty significant injuries, had 2 season-ending injuries back to back.
Oh, wow.
And then going into 2009, I was going into free agency, and this would have been spring of 2009. So essentially a year before the 2010 Olympic Games. And I got a call from Bobsleigh Canada, and because it was a home games, all of the national sporting organizations had some more funds to work with, and they recruited a handful of athletes to come out that spring to try the sport out, to see how quickly people could pick it up, and to see if it's something that we would enjoy doing. I was actually in my dad's kitchen when they called, funny enough, and I was like, no, I just got to get right. I got to get ready for the season. I'm going to join a new team. And my dad was the one who was like, listen, you're going to play football next year, but you never know what can happen if you go out there. This is an opportunity to go train with some of the best athletes in the world for 2 weeks in a different sport. Maybe a change is good for you. And, and he was right.
Very wise.
Right, totally. And it gave me the opportunity to look at things differently and see athletes performing at a very high level as well, working towards a goal that only comes once every 4 years. And it changes your perspective on things. And I fell in love with the sport quickly, and I worked with Bobsleigh Canada to figure out how I was going to be able to do both. And I signed with the Edmonton Eskimos, now the Edmonton Football Club.
Politically correct. First.
Well, that's what it is now. So it's and that shoulder thing came back and bit me in the ass in the first game of the season.
Wow.
So dislocated posterior dislocation out the shoulder after the first game of the season. The football season was done. Bobsleigh Canada called me the next day, heard some wise word from a coach a long time ago saying you have 24 hours to feel sorry for yourself. Anything longer than that, you're wasting your time.
Wow.
Felt sorry for myself for 24 hours. and then got on the phone, built a plan with Bobsled Canada, was on the operating table 3 weeks after that, and then building out a program, because now it was June. The Olympics were in February of next year, and I needed to still make a team.
Yeah.
So it became purely a focus on dedication of getting healthy upper body, getting stronger in the lower body. And, fortunate enough, I was marching in the opening ceremonies and competing in my first winter games, 8 months later.
Man, that must have been quite a ride. I mean, the Winter Olympics, I have some experience as a Winter Olympian. Well, I can't say a Winter Olympian. I'm really good at snowball fighting.
Yeah.
That's probably as close as I've gotten to being, I've done a little bit of snowboarding.
Yeah.
But if either of those things, like snowball fights, ever gets to be an Olympic sport, I might have a chance. But man, you going into that major, where was it that first year?
It was Vancouver Olympics. So it was like, I joke around, and my former teammate, Ben Cokel, Ben 10 Speed, is watching and sending some love, which is cool to see. But it was the first time I walked into BC Place Stadium and I didn't get booed, which was pretty cool. But yeah, that was pretty special. Home games, first games. The only thing I wish I had was more time building up to that moment, because I literally was in the sport for a year, and my teammates have been doing this for a long time, and it was, and I look back at it now after competing at 3 games, and I'm thinking to myself, Vancouver was out of control, insane compared to anything that I had ever been a part of. So, but I was very, very lucky that I got to participate in it.
Man, that is awesome, man. I mean, you're a small group of people who have gotten to experience the Olympic Games, and the Winter Olympics. I mean, you got to meet all the other people from other countries.
Yep.
And you got to learn probably techniques from the other bobsledders.
For sure.
And now, okay, my whole experience with bobsledding is watching Cool Running. Okay.
100%. Yeah.
That's about it. So it looks dangerous to me. Tell me, were there any injury type of scenarios, or is it the pilot that keeps you guys safe?
Yeah, it's a trust thing. So, I mean, you look at that picture behind you, it's Pierre, who's to the left of me. He's the pilot, and he was one of the best that's ever been in the sport. But, your trust is in him. And the relationship is very similar to an O-line and a quarterback, or an O-line and a running back.
Okay.
We're there to take care of our pilot. Give him the start he needs, give him what he needs so he can navigate the track. When he dumps us on our head, it's his fault. It's always his fault. We joke that he'll blame that we did something in the back, but no, it's always his fault. And Ben can attest to this. But it's when you crash for the first time, it's a shocker, because you're going you're going close to 100 miles an hour. Okay. So, and especially in Whistler, we've broken 100 miles an hour in Whistler. And you turn on your head and you're sliding on your head in a helmet and spandex going that fast. But most of the injuries, I would say, are more, and you would know this, track-related injuries. Pushing under load causes a ton of stress on hip flexors, hamstrings, quads. And then when you're loaded into a sled, you're dealing with sitting in awkward positions and dealing with G-forces. So pressure on the back, the spine, the head. A lot of that's where most of the injuries happen. There are some very, very bad crashes where you can have traumatic injuries. I've been a part of a couple. My teammates have been a part of some very serious ones. But it's more often than not that sort of sprinting type injury that you get, that loading type injury.
Right. So injury. Now, you're a different athlete by the time you get to the Olympics.
Yeah.
What did you do for those injuries? How did you recover? How did you work through those? Especially the games. I mean, your event would go for a week or so, right?
Yeah. So we, if you do the 2-man and the 4-man, you're essentially the back half of the Olympics, the back, 10 days, you're on the ice almost every day. But it's at that point in the time, and a lot of people don't realize this, is that, in amateur sport, more often than not, you compete for a full season, and then the Olympics is the Super Bowl for everybody, but everybody's there. When the Olympics aren't happening, we have a world championship. So every year we have a season of 8 to 10 races, and then a world championships. Every 4th year is the Olympics. So you were managing your health throughout the season, just like as you would if you're on a playoff run. You know, a lot of what we do, we get a lot of soft tissue. We travel with therapists, and thankfully, we had some great therapists utilizing, you know, utilizing your supplements and your tools like Normatex and contrast baths as best as possible, just to make sure that you're maintaining the upward level of performance that you need.
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. Okay. You know, it's an honor to speak with you. You know, you weren't for the American team. However, you know, I know you guys had some great successes while you were competing,
yeah,
and a lot of my friends and co-workers are Canadians, so
yeah.
they are very excited to see you on this evening. So just in sort of wrapping it up with you, and I appreciate you taking the time. Um, you want to share with us just maybe a tip? I mean, because you've been at the highest of highs, and
Yep.
you've gone from shoulder pads to spandex. I mean, you got a lot of different things you can share with us. But you know, you want to leave us a tip, because the viewers are always looking for that one little thing that might be able to make a difference for them staying in the game, or you know.
Yep. I would say uh, realize very quickly you don't know what you don't know,
Mm,
and that there's always something to learn. And you're not gonna, and you don't want to be the smartest person in the room when you walk into a room, because then you're not learning anything. So be a sponge, be open to new ideas, be open to new things, reason through logic, understand if this is something that's going to help you or distract you, and take the time to, you know, understand if it's going to be beneficial or not. Because, you know, when you're talking about your health, you're talking about your wellness, and then in athletics, you're talking about your ability to perform on top of that. So making sure that you're, you know, don't be closed to ideas, but understand that it's, you know, there's tools available, and tools can help you. They can also distract you and hurt you. Uh, so vet them properly. Lean on a good group of team around you, and make sure that, you know, you're constantly measuring where you're at. And, you know, for me, that's what I really learned at the end. Be around great people. You are the sum of the, you know, the 5 people you spend the most time with. So be around with people who, you know, care about their health, care about performance, care about people around them, and it will reflect on you as well.
that's awesome, man. Jesse, you're the best, man. I appreciate you taking, you know, getting together. We had to work the schedules a little bit,
Yeah.
but really appreciate you taking time to come and join us on the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour, man. And I look forward to meeting you someday. And again, thanks for your contribution tonight.
And, you know, I'm breaking a social media fast for you on this one. So it's, I'll make a couple posts maybe, and then I'm going off Instagram for a little while. But I appreciate you having me on here and letting me share some stories. And I think it's great what you're doing. And I, you know, can't wait to try your product out as well. So really
Awesome.
looking forward to
Well,
it.
make sure you get some. And, you know, that social media fast has probably done you and your family quite well,
Yeah.
for getting together. And thank you for coming off your fast for us tonight.
Oh, of course. Absolutely. My pleasure. Happy to do it.
All right. Cheers. Take care.
Take care, buddy. It's great seeing you.
Good to see you too. Wow. Okay. I'm just going to just say wow one more time. 3-time Olympian, bobsled team for the Canadians, and wise man. Sounds like his father was very wise in giving him that advice to go on over and try the Olympics. Um, you know, what do you do? Well, I'm just taken aback by it, because Jesse's a good guy, and he's seen the heights of 2 major sports. So it's a pleasure to have you, man. Um, Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD-based sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery. And next up, we have a guest that we've had before. However, Dr. Hadnott is a nutritionist, and we are going to talk tonight about um, we're going to talk about nutrition during COVID and trying to stay in shape during that process. So let me see if I can find her on our happy hour lineup. There she is. All right. Crystal, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Fine, fine. Welcome back. Did you
Good
see?
to be back.
Yeah, did you see who we just had on?
I did. I was listening, and he's so right. So, because I've had in my studio, my Pilates studio, a bunch of athletes, and a couple of people were bobsledders, and the movement of a bobsledder is very similar to track and field. So it's the same functional movement perspective. So it's exact same training, exact same recovery preparation. So I was like, wow, and our stories kind of were similar because I
Girl,
got
girl.
into
Yeah,
marathon running 9 months after not being able to walk. So, and he got into bobsledding 8 months
right.
after
So let's
leaving the league. So interesting.
make
You're cutting off.
yeah, yeah. See, that's
Okay,
the
there we
thing,
go.
man. Because once you're an athlete, I always say this, and a lot of people don't realize when you choose the athletic path, at some level, you're choosing pain, right? You're choosing the path
No,
of pain.
no, 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 no,
Think so?
no,
There's
no,
always injury in there somewhere.
no. If it's
Wrong?
injury, it's because you're doing something wrong. Injury is not a part of the game, and that's a mistake that people make. Like,
I've made that mistake, and I just
Yeah,
quoted it.
you're not prone. I've never been injured from marathon running. I never had a tennis injury. So injury is not, if you're getting injured, it's because you did something, you you over exuded yourself, or you didn't do the proper recovery. It's not like, oh, I'm supposed to be in pain. And I tell my clients, I was like, there's a difference between being sore and being in pain.
Well, soreness is a level of pain, isn't it?
No, there's a difference.
Okay.
Your muscles being sore is the source of inflammation. Your muscles being in pain is due to a strain. So they're different types of things. That's why they say pain and inflammation. That's why there's painkillers and anti-inflammatories.
Right,
Those
right.
are different types of things.
That makes
So
sense.
you're not supposed to be hurt.
See, I've lumped them all together.
No, they're not the same.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. See, that's why we have you on here to straighten us out on these things.
No,
Exactly.
you only get pain and injury from overexertion or not properly recovering. Now you can choose to do that because you're pushing yourself beyond the limits. And some people make that choice to push their bodies beyond the limit.
Right.
But that's not a part of being great.
It's not.
No, no,
Okay.
no. It's a part of well, if you're professional, it's just like your job. Like your job may be a full-time 40-hour a week job, but you choose to work 41, 50, 60, 80 hours.
Right. Right.
So, that's a choice.
You make a very good point. And in fact, thank you for straightening me out on that because I definitely moving forward look at my pain and inflammation or propensity for injury a little bit different. So
Yeah.
thank you with that. So I'm impressed by this next picture, and I bet you were wondering how I got
What
it.
picture are you putting up? Ah!
Okay. I mean, for real.
And that's not even all my babies. That's just the ones I can. It was so funny. The photographer was trying to put, and that picture was like it wasn't even a posed picture. So the story behind that picture is that the photographer, Terry Thomas, love him to death. He wanted me to put all the medals on my body, like around my neck. I was like, sir, they're not going to fit. Like there's over 100 of them. So it's not going to fit. And so he attempted by putting them around my neck. Then he put them on my arms, and we still had tons of them laid out on the street.
Really?
And so I was standing there like, this is heavy. I can't take a picture. And he caught me in the act of like, this is heavy.
Oh,
And so it's so funny because that became just like the picture. And that's the picture he took when I was complaining in between shots. But the funny part about it, the same picture is also the case for the cover of my book. The cover of my book ended up being a picture that he was just testing the lighting on, and it ended up being the actual shot that we used for the cover of my book.
I'm sorry, I don't have a picture of the cover of your book. I would have put it up.
Man, it's interesting how pictures come about. That's all.
Oh yeah, but see, when I don't get sent a picture, I want to look for one.
I tell you, I'm not the picture girl, so I don't get.
Please, Miss, I've never taken a bad picture in my life.
Pictures.
All right. Anyway, we'll move on. So
yeah,
you've run over 100 or more half and full marathons.
over 150 plus half and full marathons.
Okay.
This is the first year since 05, 06 that probably the least amount of races that I've run. And this year, January, I did 3 marathons with 3 halves. I did 3 halves in January. I did 3 halves in February, and I did 1 in March. So I did 7 halves this year.
That's a lot of running. I can't wrap my mind around it, but I mean, you know, I'm 225 pounds, 30 pounds, however much it is. I like donuts. And you know, just the running on the street, because you have to run on the street when you run those distances. So my knees couldn't take it, but I tried to run the.
It's because you haven't had the proper training.
Oh, is that it? Is that it?
Yeah, because your knees and the cement don't have anything to do with it, because it's about having the proper shoes that addresses your knees. Your knees is probably not really a knee issue. It's probably a hip issue, which most men, that's the case because their hips are so tight. And because that muscle is the largest muscle and it connects to the kneecap, you end up feeling the pain in your kneecap. And if it's from a joint perspective and not a muscle perspective, it's probably because you are not having the proper lubrication. Like a lot of people, joints are dehydrated, so they need glucosamine, conjointin, so they have dehydrated joints, and that can cause pain. Inflammation is another thing that can cause pain. So in the joints. So
I'm gonna need you to stop taking my excuses away from me. Okay?
Putting it out there.
I'm gonna need you to stop taking my excuses.
I just tell people,
anyway,
don't blame the streets or anything else. You probably need the proper shoes to be running. That's most people's mistake, is not having the right shoes.
The right shoes. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So you haven't run as much as you, and this leads me to our topic tonight is, you know, fitness and diet during COVID, because you haven't got to run as much as you normally would.
I run still. I haven't done races. I run.
I'm not trying to say you're not running. I'm just saying you're not doing your races like you would normally do them over the course of this year. Because I remember
it hasn't changed my training, my running. I train, I stay prepared to race. Like I don't have an off season for the most part. Yeah.
And you can take that, huh?
It's not strenuous when you're doing it properly.
Okay, I hear you. Well, the thing is, you mentioned, we talked, and you said that the Boston Marathon was a virtual race this year.
Yeah, it just took place.
Explain that, because I don't think most people understand how a virtual race would be run.
It's just virtual. So you just run in your neighborhood and you clock those miles. And it's clocked on, most runners who really run races anyway, they have running devices. So actually, I took off everything because I'm done. But generally, people will see me with a running watch and my Whoop. Those are 2 devices that I keep on me at all times. One tracks my running, the other one tracks my performance and recovery.
Oh, okay.
And so they just use whatever tracking device, whether it's a Garmin watch, an Apple Watch, Strava. There's different technologies that track your distance, and it tracks your map and it down to accuracy where they can actually confirm that you did the mileage, and you send that link to be verified to the race coordinators.
Okay, and it actually measures your speed too, because I mean, why?
Yeah, it tracks pace. So your device tracks. It depends on how fancy it is, but all of them track distance and time and your pace.
Okay.
Some of them go as deep as to tracking your stride, your VO2 max, and all that other stuff too. Just depends on how fancy of a device you have.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I was kind of perplexed by that because it's like there's no judges, so how do you know?
Oh, they know.
Judge?
They know. And it has to be a actual, like a certifiable device. Like some of them will only use certain ones because, you know, of accuracy and ability to verify the tracking.
I see.
You can't cheat.
You can't cheat. So tell me, and this is now where you're going to do the finger at me, you know, like, hey, you know, this is what we need to do. Nutrition wise, I am having trouble with my nutrition. I'm home all day long, and the refrigerator is darn too close to my desk. So I don't think that I'm eating it right during this COVID thing, because I'm used to being out and about.
I think people blame COVID.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm not used to being at home all the time.
Yeah,
so,
but people blame that because you figure out everything else. You figure out how to get to the grocery store. You figured out how to get your work done. It's not hard to figure out food. I think it's what people choose to figure out. So that's where I have to start with my clients. You mentally have to want to do it. So It's not always about the physical part of it. If you're not mentally ready to do so, you won't do it. Like if it's not a priority, you won't do it.
It's not going to happen.
And generally, most people wait till they're sick, fat, or about to die
before they make changes.
Before they make changes with nutrition. It's normally lower on the totem pole.
Okay. So is there a basic 1-2 step that, you know, getting people who are motivated to do this? I am motivated to make changes. Okay. So what is the first change I need to make? Is it
mental?
Well, okay, mentally I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
Well, it differs. It depends on, you know, if there's issues that they have. So it's not like nutrition is not one of those cookie cutter things.
Okay.
So, and I always have to remind people that nutrition looks different from person to person. There's not a one size fit all type of situation.
Okay.
Generally, it's about addressing root causes and issues first, because you can change your diet and nothing happens because you haven't addressed the problem. I tell people it's like putting on the deodorant without taking a shower. Like, so you can still have must, but if you don't actually clean up and deal with the issue that you're dirty, putting on the deodorant is not going to serve its job. So eating healthy, adding things to your diet won't serve its job until we figure out if you have a specific issue. And not necessarily that you're sick. It could be a vitamin deficiency that you don't know you have. And so really figuring out those things. You might be dehydrated and don't realize that you're dehydrated, because a lot of people have been malnourished, dehydrated for so long that they have learned to operate in that space, and they don't realize that they're in that space because they've operated malnourished, dehydrated for all of their adulthood. So they don't even know what it feels like to feel good because they've operated a certain way. So I normally start my clients with figuring out, like, you know, are you dehydrated? Do you have any vitamin deficiencies or mineral deficiencies? If not, you know, let's start by looking at what your issue is. Like, do you have craving issues? Do you eat too much? Do you eat too less? Or from a frequency perspective, like, are you eating frequently enough? Like, what are your ultimate goals? Like, do you have a health goal? So just really figuring out those things, and it varies from person to person. So I always am hesitant about saying this is the one thing you need to do. Yeah.
Well, I know that personally, you know, dehydration is one that's creeped up on me several times throughout my life. I just, you know, I end up going the whole day and like a little bit of water drank, or just through the course of a week when I know that I've worked out, I haven't put the fluids back in. So
yeah, and that's the biggest part, is realizing that dehydration is not a what's done in a day type of situation. Like, you can't, like, once you get to a state of dehydration, it's not like, oh, let me drink all this water real quick. Your body literally takes almost like a 48-hour period to kind of readjust and reacclimate to being hydrated. Like, you just can't, it's not like a quick fix solve type of issue.
So dehydration and thirsty are two different things.
Yes.
So yeah. So I mean, I realize that
Generally, if you wait till you're thirsty, you're in a higher state of dehydration, because there's levels to dehydration. You know, you're more in a higher state of dehydration on the end, to where it can actually harm you from a health perspective if you wait till you're thirsty.
Okay.
And if you're not thirsty, it could be tied to another issue, because most people who have issues with diabetes, high blood pressure, they don't have thirst because of the way their body is set up. That's the way their blood sugar levels are. Their ability to actually have thirst is more, it's harder, basically.
It's limited, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know that's one of the big things for me. I guess, you know, if it's not cookie cutter, why don't you give folks your information so that they can actually contact you to get more specific assistance?
Well, they can always reach out to me on my Instagram Crystal Hadnott, and there's a link in my bio that would link them to whether they want to set up a quick call to figure out what services that they probably would need. If they don't want to just blindly schedule an appointment, or they know they want a consultation, they can schedule a consultation. If they just think they don't really need a full consultation, but just want some assistance with coaching, they can just set up a quick coaching call with me to get some advice. So they can do that as well. But one thing I do want to say about the CBD is, especially when you talk about runners, a lot of people talk about the runner's high.
Yeah,
you know, that's like a common thing. And that's really attached to this euphoric feeling of an increase of endorphins.
right.
But also, that runner's high, the part that they don't talk about outside of the endorphins, is also because of a fatty acid neurotransmitter that we have called anandamide. And so that actual chemical naturally is produced in our bodies, but CBD actually increases the amount of that chemical that's available in your body.
It triggers it. So is
But
that?
it don't trigger it, it increases it. It increases the amounts that's available. So it don't trigger it. It just, so if you're giving off, so because a lot of people focus on the recovery aspect of CBD, but from a performance perspective, so if I exude 50% of my fatty acids and my endorphins, CBD will increase that to 75% or 80%. So it increases the amount that's readily available. So it gives you your ability to stay in, because that euphoric state don't hold. So it gives you the ability to maintain that over a longer period of time. So giving you that extra like endurance at a feel good versus a exhausted, I'm tired feeling.
Right. So our prepare line would get you into that space. So that's where we have tinctures, and we also have the soft gels, so that if it's a part of your natural regimen, then you can experience that. I mean, it's not just a one-time, like water. It's not just a one-time thing. It's something that you put into.
Well, yeah, no chemical is.
Right.
Including foods or chemicals, because people freak out. Food and drinks are chemicals.
Right.
They're plant-based compound chemicals.
Exactly. You're the best. You're the best. And I really appreciate you coming on and just, setting me straight because, honestly, I think I know what I know, but I did with the
Well,
last
I'm always cautious of that because a lot of people don't know how to properly, because it's important that for medical and health professionals like myself, when you go see a doctor, you have to you have to be able to explain, are you experiencing pain? Are you experiencing inflammation? Are you experiencing soreness? All three of those things are different.
Right.
And there's different medications that are attached to each one of those things. And so it's really, for me, it's just always helping people to understand the difference between the two. Because a lot of times pain can mean you do have an injury. But if it's inflammation or soreness, and inflammation feels kind of like, it doesn't feel like pain. It doesn't feel like soreness, but it feels like extra weight of water in that spot, like a heaviness. And so that, understanding that, because that will dictate whether you need an anti-inflammatory or actual painkiller itself, or steroid based anti-inflammatory, or so it's just really important to be able to explain, because people get mad at the healthcare professional when they don't diagnose them properly, but you didn't go in with the proper information.
Right.
So,
yeah. Sure.
Yeah, because if you say I'm sore, they never check you for an injury, and kind of found out now what was a stress fracture is now a broken ankle because you never dealt with the stress fracture.
Right. Wow. So it's important for people to know their bodies. Understand the differences, because what you've explained,
or even going over the counter and buying stuff, because we do that in our society where drugs are readily available at drugstores. We pick up things from the drugstores all the time and not understanding what we're getting. But the cool part, with the CBD, it addresses both the pain and the inflammation without the steroid, which is really important for people like myself with an autoimmune disease, specifically Graves and autoimmune hepatitis, where we cannot take a painkiller. A painkiller for me would be like taking 8 whiskeys. It will send my liver into an overload. So just, so understanding the CBD is a good choice because it deals with both the pain and the inflammation without having the steroids attached to it, without having the acetamin attached to it and all that stuff that may be harsher on your liver. So just really understanding all of those dynamics are super important, because that can also be an effect on how your body actually absorbs nutrients as well.
Yeah, and the absorption of nutrients is huge, because if we're putting junk in our systems all the time, we're putting layers and layers and layers over our intestines, not allowing, creating a wall between good food and absorption.
Or more so your organs that's opposed to your liver and your kidneys that do the absorption work can't function because it's tired. It gets tired, just like our bodies, when you're making them overwork, because if it's something that's not a nutrient dense item that you're eating, it works extra, which is why a lot of people have acid reflux or gas and all those issues, because it's really like your insides are at war. And so it's this fighting and this fire buildup, and that fire comes up as acid, or it goes down as diarrhea. So understanding that when that's happening, your body is either coming out through the mouth or through the other side with the nutrients, because it couldn't hold it because of all the other buildup of acid that you created in your stomach.
Wow.
Or it just gets tired and it sits, and then you wonder why you have pain, like your back pain, and that's your kidney. Or you have chest pains or heart pains right at your liver. So just understand, like, it's tired. It's like, look, I quit. And so that buildup happens and create pain.
Wow. You know, every time you come on, I learn something new, and I look forward for you to come on and share your insights. In fact, a few people have actually thanked you for your insights.
Oh, thank you guys.
And I think Kiki Rouge came on and said thank you as well. And so, you know, I ask every guest, if you want to leave us with one tip,
tip. Be nice to yourself. And when it comes to food, I tell people, especially people that are like, I can't stay away from the cookies or the quarantine snacking, just to ask yourself, are you worth temporary happiness, or are you deserving of permanent joy?
Look at you. Look at you. You dropped the mic on that one. Thank you so much.
So, I
appreciate you coming on and just, you know, gracing us with your presence and your amazing energy. So thank you so much. All right.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Always welcome here. Always welcome here. All right.
All right. Good night.
Have a great evening. We will see you soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye. We're always blessed when Dr. Hadnott comes and joins us. Once again, you know, Champions and Legends Weekly Warrior Happy Hour really is about bringing people together, learning. I'm learning. Hopefully you're learning some things yourself, and finding ways to be the best version of yourself as we travel down this fitness and health journey. So once again, thank you for coming to the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. Champions and Legends produces hemp-derived CBD-based sports supplements for athletic preparation, performance, and recovery. You can find out more about Champions and Legends at championsandlegends.com. If you haven't already started following us on @championsandlegends here on Instagram, please do. And we will see you next week on the Weekly Warrior Happy Hour. Cheers.